Welcome to this explainer from the Tube Duel Original Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you today. We're going to look at one of the biggest, most shocking stories in the entire business world. We're talking about Yahoo's incredible rise to the very top of the internet and its sad, painful fall. This is a story all about missed chances and, frankly, some really bad choices. $125 billion. Let that sink in for a second. Back in the year 2000, that is exactly how much Yahoo was worth. They were absolutely the kings of the internet. I mean, if you went online back then, you went to Yahoo. They had all the money, all the users, and all the power. They literally seemed impossible to beat. Okay, let's dive into this, because years later, the story ends in a massive tragedy. Fast forward to 2017, and an old telephone company named Verizon ended up buying Yahoo's core business for just $4.8 billion. Think about that drop for a second. From $125 billion all the way down to less than $5 billion. That is a staggering, painful drop. So what happened? How did the biggest internet company in the world lose so much value? And how did they let a tiny new company named Google completely take over the world?
To really understand this huge mistake, we got to go back to the very start. Picture this. It's 1994, and two students at Stanford University, Jerry Yang and David Philo, started a simple little project in a small school trailer. The internet was brand new back then, and honestly, it was pretty confusing. So they created a list. It was just a simple directory to help people find interesting websites. Real humans actually sat there and sorted these websites into categories. It got incredibly popular. They called it Yahoo, and boom, it became the front door to the internet.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core problem that eventually ruined Yahoo. You see, Google's mission has been crystal clear since day one. Organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Simple, right? But contrast that with Yahoo, and we see some deep confusion. Researchers actually found that Yahoo changed how they describe themselves 24 times in 24 years. No way, right? They never really knew what they were. Were they a news media company, a tech company, a search engine? This massive identity crisis became their biggest weakness.
This confusion led to their very first fatal mistake. In 1998, two other Stanford students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, had this totally new idea for a search engine. They went straight to Yahoo and literally begged them to buy it for just $1 million. You guessed it? That search engine was Google. Now, $1 million was pocket change for Yahoo at the time. But what did Yahoo do? They said no.
So why exactly did they say no? Well, Yahoo told them, search is not our priority. Yahoo wanted people to stay on their website, to read the news, check the weather, play some games. They made their money by showing ads to people who just hung around on their pages. They actually thought a fast, accurate search engine was a terrible idea because it would quickly send users away to other websites. They wanted to trap users rather than help them leave.
Instead of buying Google, Yahoo did something much worse in the year 2000. It was a step-by-step failure. First off, Yahoo decided to just borrow Google search technology and slap it right on the Yahoo homepage. Next, millions of Yahoo users tried this clean, super fast search and absolutely loved it. Finally, every single time someone searched on Yahoo, they saw the Google name and realized, hey, Google is actually better. Yahoo accidentally gave Google massive, totally free advertising. They basically handed Google their entire audience on a silver platter, and Google used it to build an empire.
By 2002, Yahoo finally panicked. They realized Google was growing incredibly fast. So Yahoo's boss went crawling back to Google and offered to buy them for $3 billion. It was their second chance. But Google's founder said, no, we're growing fast. We're actually worth $5 billion now. Well, Yahoo literally laughed and walked away. They thought $5 billion was way too expensive for a search engine. To put that into perspective, today, Google is worth over $2 trillion. Yahoo completely missed their second chance. As the years went by, these two companies acted very differently. Google focused entirely on the user. They just kept building amazing, useful tools that people needed every single day. We're talking Gmail, Google Maps, the Android phone system. Yahoo, on the other hand, well, they just tried to buy success. Instead of building new things, they spent billions buying up other companies, like Broadcast.com and a blogging site called Tumblr. They didn't really innovate. They just tried to buy their way out of trouble.
Let's move along and see how this builds into an even bigger disaster. By 2008, Yahoo was really struggling to keep up with Google. Microsoft actually saw an opportunity here and offered to buy Yahoo for a massive $44.6 billion. It was a genuinely great offer. But Yahoo's leader at the time, Jerry Yang, arrogantly rejected it.
He was just too proud to sell, thinking Yahoo was still worth so much more. So Microsoft walked away, and after that, Yahoo's stock price completely crashed. By January 2009, it dropped below $12 a share.
Fast forward to 2012, and Yahoo was getting desperate. They hired a famous executive from Google named Marissa Mayer. She stepped in as the new CEO, and everybody really hoped she could finally save the company. Her big plan was to totally change Yahoo's culture and focus heavily on mobile phones, mostly because Yahoo was super late to the smartphone trend. She definitely brought a lot of energy to the table, but the problems were already buried very, very deep.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how her rescue strategy actually played out. She bought over 50 different startup companies. The biggest purchase of all was Tumblr, which Yahoo paid a whopping $1.1 billion for. But look at the final results here. Without a clear plan on how to actually make money or improve the product, Tumblr's value dropped to almost zero just a few years later. It proves a really hard truth. Buying companies without a real solid strategy is going to fail every single time.
By the time Yahoo was finally sold, there was this sad irony, a really surprising twist in their business. Just picture their value for a second. There's this tiny little slice, and that is Yahoo's actual core internet business. That's the email, the news, the sports, the whole shebang they spent 20 years building. Now imagine a massive slice next to it. That was the value of an accidental, incredibly lucky investment Yahoo made years earlier in an Asian e-commerce company called Alibaba. Yahoo's actual products were barely worth anything compared to that one lucky investment. Their operating business had basically failed entirely.
So the crucial point is, what can we actually learn from this massive business tragedy? First, don't ever ignore small, new ideas just because they seem different. Yahoo ignored Google's search system when it was tiny, and it totally destroyed them. Second, you cannot buy a strategy. Slapping money on other companies like Tumblr is not going to fix a broken business model. Third, and honestly most importantly, always put the user first. Google won because they built things people actually needed to use. Yahoo lost because they just wanted to trap users to show them more ads. Which brings us to the final, powerful question you should take away from this explainer. If you don't serve your users, who will? Yahoo completely forgot about what the user actually wanted, so someone else stepped right in to do the job. And that someone else was Google. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you found these lessons as fascinating and helpful as I did. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.